Okay, there you go.
Thank you. This is the meeting of the Fairfax County History Commission Ethnic and Oral History Committee. I'm Esther McCullough. The date is June 17th, 2021. And I'm going to do the electronic meeting script. Audibility of members' voices. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically, the name of our committee is Ethnic and Oral History of Fairfax County History Commission, needs to make certain findings for the record to evidence our compliance with all applicable laws. These motions address this compliance. First, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each member of the committee participating in this meeting to state your name and your location. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Ann Barnes, Sally Lyons, Ann Stuntz, Barbara Peters, Cheryl N. Ripetti.
She's
I'm
muted.
here in Centerville.
Okay.
Okay. Tammy
Manarino.
Manarino.
And I am here in Mount Vernon.
Phyllis Walker Ford, Lynn Garvey Hunt.
Lynn Garvey Hodge, and I'm here over in Springfield District.
And I'm Esther McCullough in Sully District. I move that at this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to Tammy so that I may make appropriate motions. I move that the Ethnic and Oral History Committee certify for the record that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of this board. So if you'll carry that motion through.
Second.
And I'm in favor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So the motion carries?
Motion carries.
Okay. The need for electronic meetings. Second, I move that the Ethnic and Oral History certify that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for this committee and the public to physically attend this meeting in person, and the usual procedures cannot be implemented safely or practically. As a result, I further move that the committee conduct this meeting electronically through a dedicated video and audio conferencing line, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 415-655-0001 and entering the access code 173-478-2896. Need to dispense the FOIA's usual procedures to assure continuity in government and continue operations. I think we just passed the motion.
So, yeah, so we needed a second for that one, right?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, the motion carries.
Thank you. Finally, I move that the Ethnic and Oral History Committee certify that the matters on its agenda today relate to the COVID-19 emergency itself, are necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government, and or are statutorily required or necessary to continue operations and the discharge of the Ethnic and Oral History Committee lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities.
We have a second?
Second. Oh, there you go. We'll have to
All
let him do
righty.
that.
Simultaneous seconds there.
Simultaneous seconds. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, and the motion also carries.
Thank you. And may I have my gavel back?
And here is your gavel back.
Thank you very
Yeah.
much. You're
That
so
gavel's
good
getting
at
a lot of
having it.
use this year.
A lot of gavels, yes.
Yes, yes. Well, I sent out a note late this afternoon. I was having problems with my email, but I managed to get that one pieced together. We did have old business in that our interviews were done. We had 3 interviews done of retired Board of Supervisor members. And a couple of you conducted those interviews. Tell me, what was the reaction, Cheryl? How did it
Reaction?
go?
I
Your
thought it went.
reaction.
My reaction was that it was fun. It was fascinating, and I learned things that I didn't know anything about. Yeah, it was really fun.
Oh,
It was also, I thought that we were going to have a lot less time. They let us sort of talk on a bit more. I don't know if they're planning on editing stuff or
yes.
what, but
Who did you
yeah, no,
interview?
it was great fun.
Who'd you interview, Cheryl? Who'd you-
Michael Fry.
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. So, Lynn, how was yours?
We had a blast. We had a lot of fun. I'm very fond of Jerry. I love his energy. It was nice to listen to what all he said because it felt like a restating of the timeline since I've lived here, and I've lived here for 36 years. So it was really, that was fun. And I'm sure I know we went over a bit, but there was just a lot to talk about. And then we ended, and then Jerry and I thought of more to talk about, and the production crew had to say, "Hey guys, you're done. You're done." And so Jerry said, "No. This is part 2." So anyhow, we had a really good time, and I echo what Cheryl said about it was kind of fun and encouraging because we talked about some tough topics. We talked about some emergency situations that happened while he was in office. I don't know if you all remember the sniper from years ago.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I remember that story. And then, the derecho, I think that got mentioned. No, that was actually under Sharon. There was one other biggie that, the gangs. We talked about the gangs because Jerry was very proactive and aggressive in addressing the gang issue of the MS-13 crowd. So, anyway, but it was helpful. It was informative. I'm really looking forward to seeing it and hearing.
So did they record the second part?
No, we were just kidding. I think somebody was coming in right after us, so we kind of had to exit. But
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
it was fun.
So we did have appointed times, but I think Jerry was just glad to be away and talking about something that was familiar,
Well, that and look at what he does every day and who he's interacting with. That's hard. That's really hard. I think to him it probably felt like a homecoming.
Yeah, it was relaxing.
In a way, yeah.
Well, he loves history.
He does.
So yeah, every time he comes to the history conference, he talks more than he should because he's on a time schedule. And he'll get started and start relating historical things. So he loves the history part. That's great.
He really does.
Are there any suggestions for the next go around?
I think just to encourage people to, if your interviewee kind of goes off on a tangent, to follow the tangent, and then be ready with some insightful questions like, well, tell me more about that, or how do you think that affects the county today, or what kind of change happened, that kind of thing.
Let it flow.
Yeah.
So Tammy, next time we'll have to get in on this fun.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
It is.
I don't have a date for the next group. Pam Gardner, who we work with at Channel 16, says that it'll be the latter part of July. Now that could change. But I am going to write her a little email and say, hey, we really need some idea of the date so we can let people know. Because we did have one mishap that I'm sure you're not aware of. We didn't contact one of the people until very late. And he had another appointment, and I don't think it came off very good. But I'll apologize and see if he will let us interview him, on the next go round.
Have we ever found out where Jerry Highland is?
No.
Isn't that strange that he would just disappear like that?
Or
He has a farm, I think, doesn't he?
I thought so too, but he doesn't, nobody seems to know where he is.
He does not reply.
I was gonna say I have a friend who meets him for coffee occasionally. Maybe I can pester him.
Really?
Yeah, that would be a great idea.
Oh, that would be nice. Because, see, I started out sending the emails to Jerry at the farm.
Yeah.
And then I made contact with the current board of supervisors for that district, the assistant for that district. And she tried to find him and she couldn't find him.
Yeah, I'll
So-
ask this gentleman if he can get a note to him or something.
That would be great.
Yeah, that sounds
Would
like a
you
great
then interview
lead.
him?
I think that Sally Lyons or Ann Barnes had talked about maybe doing that
Yes.
interview. I'm trying to remember. So they might be more
Yes.
appropriate.
Either one would be very good. Either
Yeah.
one. would be very good.
Okay. But I'll keep you posted on who we come up with. I can't really just send a letter out and say at some point I need a date. So I'm
Yeah.
going to try to get something from Pam or her boss.
Yeah.
Anything else on that?
Who are some of the other folks we have listed?
Oh, you
that-
asked me that.
Kate, I'd like to see Kate Hanley interviewed,
I know.
if somebody could do her.
I'd love to do Kate.
Do it.
Okay, Lynn, here again. I don't have those names before me.
That's okay.
And I saw them earlier today.
I trust you.
You trust me?
Mhm.
Okay. I trust me too. So we'll get that.
And then the other Linda Smith that just stepped down, isn't she?
Mm.
Mike Irwin's former.
Is that the SMYTH or is that
Yes.
SM?
Yeah, it's the SMYTH. I'm pretty sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Providence.
Okay.
I didn't realize she had a different spelling for her name. The Y?
I think so. Let me double check. Let me Google.
Yeah, maybe. No, I just never noticed it.
Yeah, the Y.
Well, I could be wrong.
No, you're right, Lynn. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, I remember when
SMYTH.
she was campaigning.
Yeah.
Okay,
She's
so
a lady.
we'll round up some folks and get some interviews lined up as soon as we can get some idea of the date. Because,
Yeah.
see, it could go over into August.
You know who else would be interesting to interview? I don't know that we've talked about this, Esther, is Suzanne Levy. Now, she's not a county politician. I'm having lunch with her one day next week.
I think that would be great.
Yeah, wouldn't she? I mean, my gosh, that lady is just so rocking.
Yeah,
So do
she
you
has
want me
so
to,
much.
would you guys kind of like me to just test the water and see how she
Yeah,
would like
sure.
to do that?
Yeah.
Sure, because she's been in the county so long.
Oh, my Lord. And now she's got 2 adorable granddaughters.
Oh, that's sweet. So, if you think of others, let me know. And of course, I need contact information. Suzanne Levy usually sends us something, so I might have that. But, you know, get
She
contact.
uses, yeah, and she uses about 3 different emails.
I know.
So, yeah.
I know. Okay, so let's talk about going forward. We can brainstorm on our next project, which we had talked about for some time. And we just need to get it together and put it in place. And that's educating our citizenry about doing oral history interviews
Mhm.
and getting those interviews done by somebody other than just us.
Mhm.
At one time, we had to educate people on what the oral history was and how important it is, because there was a thought that if it wasn't written in a book, it wasn't history. Well, we know that's not true.
Absolutely.
So the project was to teach them how to conduct the oral history interviews. So I just want you to kind of brainstorm, what could we call it if we were to teach citizens how to interview others?
It's too bad Mary's not here. Mary always came up with real
No.
kind of catchy titles for our history conference.
She does. Fairfax
So-
Stories.
And yet, I think we want to kick it up a notch in terms of sophistication, because that almost sounds a little elementary.
Well,
But
it sounds
Fairfax
like-
should be in it. Fairfax should be in it.
yeah, Fairfax should be in it. And the word stories, maybe.
Mm-hmm. What if we did something like Fairfax Stories Then and Now, or something like that?
Hmm.
Or is that redundant?
Let's
No, it's
think
not
about that.
redundant. We probably, this, just Fairfax Stories doesn't really tell enough, though. You're right, Lynn. It needs something
Needs
more,
something.
because
There's a little
we're-
more fluff on it, yeah.
well, I mean,
Oh, and
we need to give
maybe-
people some idea about what it is that it's about, like,
Oral history.
right,
Well,
yeah.
How,
Without saying that, maybe.
maybe just simple, how to gather Fairfax historic stories. Because it feels like the word something referencing how to, because we want people to understand it's a training piece.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, I jotted some of those down, so let's think about that.
Setting the stage, because they will be sort of doing that. Okay.
Setting the stage for gathering Fairfax stories.
Collecting.
Kind of long.
Collecting.
How to collect Fairfax Stories.
Collecting. Okay.
Hang on. Sometimes if you flip things around, it's a little bit.
Yeah.
Fairfax.
Okay.
Begin
So
with
flip
collecting.
that around in your head while you're working or doing something.
Okay.
Maybe when you're in the shower.
Oh, I
It'll
got
come to
brilliant
you.
ideas there. Yes.
Yes, it'll come to you.
Right.
What kind of presentation do we want? How do we want to present? Do we want to play act, role, play?
Yeah, I think so. Oh, we definitely need to do a role play sample.
We don't want it to be a lecture,
No. I think we need to
but
show.
something that's light but informative.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Wonder if you could almost do a video of an interview, and then
Critique it.
interject it with commentary, like.
Yeah, like a real interview.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well, that, and no, I get what Cheryl's saying. Just stop it periodically and talk about what just happened.
Right.
What just happened, you know? Oh, here we had the interviewee um, take up a lot of time. Here's a question or an insertion or a comment that could help narrow down, you know, I think some
Or an example of, here's an example where the person is going off on
a tangent.
not a tangent, but you know, they're telling you something interesting, like what you said about follow up on, you know, following those tangents, you know,
If it's useful,
if it's useful, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and so much of that depends on the personalities, the two people, you know, being able to sway someone in the direction you want them to go. Lynn, you're very good at that. I've seen you do it.
It's kind of scary, isn't it?
Yeah, it is scary.
So I like the idea of a video, and I think you know, a script to kind of get it started, like
Yes.
a starter script,
Yeah.
to go with it would be
Right.
good.
Right.
Okay.
Now,
So you'd have two people, one interviewing and then the other one being interviewed, and you could stop it.
Yeah, I mean, we could
Between-
either do it sort of live and actually stop it in the middle of the conversation, or you could do something like a really good interview example, say Lynn's, you know, interview of Jerry Conley, and you could actually, you know, edit that out, and then
just
cut
a little
into
piece
it.
of it.
Yeah.
Just a little piece of it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to show anybody's interview and say it's bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, role playing might be
Examples.
better. You're right, Esther.
That wouldn't be flattering.
No,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
that's a good point.
You know,
Listen to how this one goes on and on. That would be good.
and that could be Jerry, but
Yeah.
anyway. You know what we don't need, or we need to not forget is Mary has worked with those young ladies from West Springfield High School who've done those interviews. Let's make sure to circle back with her and maybe even those girls to find out what they did, and maybe just literally do an interview of the girls that interviewed so they can tell their story for how they prepared. Were they nervous? How did they stay centered? You know, things like that.
That's really kind of brilliant. Yeah. I like that
Yeah.
idea.
That's a good idea.
It's because it's
Yeah,
early
and
in the
Tammy,
evening.
Tammy, you had talked about a group of, what was it, scouts? That did
Yeah.
some interviews.
Yeah, they did. They used the StoryCorps app on their phones to interview Mount Vernon district residents, and they had like a list of questions to choose from. That was sort of the extent of their script, was that list of questions that we gave them.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my son's Eagle project.
Oh, wonderful.
Wonderful. That's a
Yeah, it
nice
was fun. It was fun. You know, it's not professional quality, but I actually went back and listened to one of them last week because I was writing up the 60th anniversary of the swim team in our neighborhood, and I remembered that one of the gentlemen had mentioned that, and so I went back and listened to it, and then I called him and followed up with a bunch of additional questions.
Oh,
So useful, even though it was done, but actually, and it's interesting because, and this is probably true of Mary's high school students too, the their responses to what the interviewee said were really interesting because it really was sharing back and forth. And so the students, the scouts who were interviewing shared some of their own, like, oh yes, that is still there, and this is what we use that park for, or you know,
oh, nice.
just that was kind of an unexpected thing that came up.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
we
great.
might get some youth involved then.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. No, I'm very impressed with what Mary is doing with the West Springfield High School students. I want to be a fly on the wall during her training of those folks.
Well,
Yeah.
you know, she's lucky she's got Brian over there at West Springfield. Brian is just an absolute treat. Mrs. Robert Walker has visited Brian's class, and kids really enjoyed her. And Mrs. Robert Walker certainly enjoyed telling her story, but he is just all over anything that can really help enhance the learning moment for these kids. And
Yeah, he's
I just
really into
respect
history.
he
That's
is.
great. Well, and I guess his predecessor was Jim Percoco, who was there when I was there. He was a young man when he was when I was at West Springfield High School.
Mhm.
So you're a West Springfield High School girl too. Did you go to West Springfield when Tommy Peterson was there or Pat Harity?
No, they might have been before my time. Actually, I think there was a Harity there, but not in my class.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. That
that's
would have been
right.
Pat probably.
Yeah, that's funny.
Hmm. So, we've talked about a video. We'd have a script. And I like the idea of interrupting it to give instruction
Mhm.
rather than giving 1, 2, 3, 4. That's going to be
Absolutely.
interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we might want to use commissioners
I think,
with others.
and you know what, Esther, I'm thinking just because I've sat through in the last 2.5 weeks, you guys, 36 webinars. Anyway, one of the things I do appreciate about webinars is their use of PowerPoints. And it
Yeah.
feels like we ought to have some kind of PowerPoint component of
Mhm.
this. You know, at
That's
the
good.
beginning to divide it up a bit, to bullet some points, to do some do's and don'ts.
Because people learn different ways. That's good.
Right,
Right.
right,
Break
That's
it
good.
up so it's not boring.
right.
And then, of course, we have to decide what it is we really are going to teach them. And that you have to tell them that you need an introduction,
Mhm.
which would include their name and the person that's being interviewed
Right.
and the date and where they are in Fairfax County would be interesting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. And then not to make it too long, because when we started out, we had more questions. But the Board of Supervisor questions dwindled down. Now, did we use all those questions?
I used a lot of them, Esther.
Okay, that were 14.
Yeah, I
I
got
used a lot of them, and some of them took care of themselves just by
Okay.
virtue of, you know, the conversation.
How about you, Cheryl?
Yeah, I had the same experience. I expected to not get through all of them, and
Mhm.
I had talked to Michael ahead of time as to which ones, you know, I might, you know, throw out sort of thing or give lower priority to. But I think we wound up covering most of them.
Okay. Okay, so it didn't run too long.
No, well, I mean, you know, I know that there was one point where I was sort of like looking around at the production crew thinking they were going to cut us off, and they didn't, but that might have been because they spent an awful lot of time fluffing me up, you know, trying to find the proper set of pillows to get me to sit upright correctly or something. I guess I slouch
Were
horribly.
you slouching, Cheryl?
I apparently was slouching. I was very bad.
I can't believe that. Not you. Well,
And the chair
what
was
they
just a little
plan
too
to
big for
do-
me too. So
It was a big chair. It was a
They
big chair. I
will
felt like
edit.
Alice in Wonderland. Yeah.
Oh,
Lily
okay.
Tomlin.
It wasn't a regular chair. They will edit, and you know, I'd almost like to see the uncut version to see
I-
what
I
they
would
took
too.
out,
Yeah.
Oh, that would be interesting.
Yeah. I would,
because we
'cause we
know
can-
what's important to what we're trying to do.
yeah. Because maybe some of the uncut stuff we could use as do's and don'ts.
Teaching
bloopers.
material.
Yes. Teaching material. Yes. Yes. Do's and don'ts.
Well, that's interesting. Maybe we'll get that version. And then we have to decide how we're going to reach the citizens. We had said by contacting each of the board members for suggestions from their district. And that's probably the most efficient way to do it.
Mhm.
I think, and I had an idea the other day because I think as a commission, and this would tie into the advocacy group, which, oh, I don't have anything on my calendar for that. Oh, well, I'll learn about it. But it seems to me if like in the Connection newspaper, there was like a, maybe not every week, but a monthly history column that maybe told a story about some county history or what the History Commission is doing, like this, like the oral history, or the history conference or the awards or, whatever.
Mhm.
It seems like we have an opportunity here to put some information out there to the public that really they should know about,
I agree.
and encourage, groups like homeowners associations
Mhm.
to find their older people. Right now, I'm thinking of this would be Barbara Peters' area, but there's some folks at Lake Barcroft that have been there since the 1950s, and they've seen so much change. And obviously, love still living there, or they wouldn't still be living there. But I think encouraging other groups that have a wide radius of connectivity to let the word go out. Hey, if you guys want to do an oral history, it'd be great. If it works out, can you send us a copy? Or,
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah.
how we'd want to do that, but
Well, we'd have to have the release form in their hands.
oh yeah, we should make
Yeah.
sure that goes on the list of do's and don'ts.
Right. But that's a good idea, the homeowners association, because they know who's in the community.
Right, they do. And they know who would interview well.
Okay. So can we all task ourselves to work on questions?
You mean interview questions?
Yes.
Because a lot of it is situational, depending on the district and what's going on there.
Mm-hmm.
This is these are interview questions for the general public, right?
Right, right.
Yeah, because I wonder if we could build off of the questions that we actually have for the
Yeah, I agree.
supervisors.
Yep.
Because there are some basic questions there about, sort of life experiences, most tragic events and things like that. Things that weren't about their political careers per se, which we could possibly start with.
Mhm. Well, like with Suzanne, she'll have nothing to say about really politics, but it'll be, a little bit of the history of, I see maybe kind of a double piece. The history of the Virginia room
Mm-hmm.
and then the history of everything that happened since she was in the Virginia room.
Right. And
Yeah,
this question about tragedies in the county, it would be, how did it affect you or your family?
Right.
And what would you like to see going forward? So jot down a couple of questions as you think of them. And we'll be able to compile them. And
Right. And I was going to say also I do remember from Dylan's or Colin's Eagle Project, they they have whole lists of questions. StoryCorps does.
Yeah.
Just all kinds of things, influences in your life, what are places in your community, that kind of stuff. So yeah, they have their own lists that might be interesting to pull from.
Yeah. I mean,
memorable occasions.
Yeah,
Are
landmarks,
we-
locations, occasions, schools, great questions about, what school did you go to and what was your experience like?
Yeah.
So are these questions supposed to just be for any kind of general oral history, or is it supposed to be eliciting information about Fairfax County history?
Fairfax County in general.
Because I wonder, some of these you know, there are lots of questions that are organized along the lines of family histories.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And that's what sort of like StoryCorps, you know, does.
Well,
Yeah,
we
but
design.
want
you can
some of
tailor
that.
them. Yeah, you can tailor them to be, about
Mhm.
your community.
Uh-huh.
What neighborhood, what subdivision did you live in? What did it
Yeah.
look like? What did the streets,
Hmm.
um, just from talking to folks in the Mount Vernon district, like we found out that like one young man like drove the bus for the high school. They had seniors drive the buses
Hmm.
for the high school,
That's
Oh,
funny.
really?
and which was really interesting, right? And so yeah,
Well,
so you can
good.
get interesting details like that. What jobs did you have while you were
Hmm.
so you can find out about the community by asking some of those
Mhm.
personal
Personal
questions that
questions.
tie in schools and the community and
Okay,
sports.
that would be interesting. If there are events that the county had, we might, ask a question related to something that was an event in the county.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Uh, we don't want to get into tragedies too much, but if it comes up, it comes up.
Right. Yeah. If we just ask
Sure.
about significant things that happened in the county during their life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there's a question on there about some difficult challenges.
Yes,
Mm.
yes, there
And,
is.
and then I narrowed that down because I lived here during the time, well, actually both the sniper and the MS-13, and I just thought that Jerry had MS-13 nailed beautifully. There were public posters that showed all the different tattoos and what they meant, what to look for, the body language,
Mhm.
all kinds of things. And so he did a really, really good job of educating people.
Right.
And from what I can see rather, he did a good job of kind of rooting out and helping move on. Lord knows to where, but we
Well,
seem not to have that gang.
some of the activity has reoccurred,
Oh yeah,
Mm.
oh yeah. It hasn't completely gone away.
but it's not as bad as it was because I can
Oh, no,
remember an
it's terrible.
incident at a hotel down the street.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. At Fair Oaks Mall. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right. That was
So
terrible.
things like that will come up, but let's stay with the more positive things
Mhm.
and let them bring those up, don't you
Right.
think?
Well, yes and no. I think you don't want to dwell on negative too
Right.
much, but this negative is sometimes part of the history. I mean, I don't know who. Well, Mary did Sharon Boulevard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
That's
I
right.
would imagine Sharon would have talked about the derecho and what that was like and how she was able to respond to it, and what was it like to not have cell phone service or electricity or whatever, for a certain window of time. So sometimes there's good lessons learned
Mm-hmm.
from things like that. Like, if somebody had done oral history interviews after the Spanish flu in 1918, and it's not as though people didn't know, obviously that was pretty well reported.
They'd have talked about it.
If they had talked a little bit more aggressively about it and even said, here's some do's and don'ts. Here's what we did that really, really worked. And you know what? Make sure everybody gets out there and wears a mask.
Can you imagine after this pandemic is over, they'll have stories to tell?
Oh yeah, we all will.
Yeah.
We all will
Well,
have
the Virginia Room has already started collecting, right?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They put out a call very early on to just, have people either journal about it or provide pictures
Oh,
or,
yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
Laura
neat.
talked about that, or Chris, one of the two.
Yeah. It was a great idea.
Well,
And
the
so I would say
potato
we have to have
pictures should go in there.
Well,
I would say we need to have a wide variety of questions just so that they don't, so that the interviewees don't all talk about, the
The
same
same.
topics necessarily, just
all the time. Yeah.
Well, and it'll depend on the age of the person being interviewed.
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
had a wonderful history aha brought to my attention today in one of my webinars, and that
Mhm.
is because one of the webinars talked about post-COVID now. What are we going to have as a takeaway? What have we learned? And it was pointed out that, the plague, the bubonic plague,
Mhm.
yes, it took all those lives. And then what happened almost immediately after it was the beginning of the Renaissance, as we now know the Renaissance. And I thought, isn't that something? So the presenter said, count on there being a rebirth. We are all midwifing ourselves right now. And I thought that was very, very poignant, very thought-provoking for sure.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Any other suggestions? Since we're brainstorming, it can continue to the next meeting.
I think we should have ice cream after we're done with an interview. I think that would be fun.
Now you're talking. That sounds like fun.
Yes, definitely.
Everybody gets a Klondike bar or something.
Okay, so our next meeting, unless there's something else you want to talk about,
Those Mega Million numbers, Esther, the winning ones.
yeah, you want
want it.
those, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I do.
That's at the next meeting. That's
So it's
my
July-
carrot to get you to the next meeting.
There you go.
I'll have those numbers. How
Okey-doke.
about
Forward to it.
this day of the week? Is this okay?
Yeah, Thursday for me is typically pretty good.
Thursday's good?
Yeah, that worked fine.
Okay, how about July 15th?
Yeah, it's my birthday. Oh, it's gonna be so historic.
Maybe we'll interview you.
Oh, maybe not.
Well, if
Well,
it's your birthday, you might be going someplace or doing
I
something.
don't know. I don't know.
Okay, we better have a meeting then, just so you'll have something to do.
Yeah, that's appropriate. And if
We
we do
should
it in
check with-
person, I'll bring you ice cream.
We should check with the folks who couldn't make it tonight just
I
to find out
know.
if this is a bad day for them or,
What other day is good?
just not Wednesdays.
Yeah, I know.
No, I've
Wednesdays.
given a lot of my Wednesdays away. I think we won't be.
What
doing-
happens on Fridays?
Friday night I have a meeting. But Friday afternoon sometimes can work.
So, but afternoon. Tammy, are you available in the middle of the day?
Often I am. My schedule is fairly flexible. So I would say
Okay.
yes. I'd say Mondays are the worst day, well, especially in the summer. Mondays are the worst.
Okay.
That it's just jam packed. But,
So
but
on
generally in the
Thursday,
afternoons.
how about you, Cheryl? What's your schedule like Thursday afternoon? Cheryl,
Oh, you're muted.
Yeah, I'm
Sherry.
sorry. That expression is just, that's the one takeaway people will remember 50 years from now. You're
Mhm,
muted.
mhm. Yep, 2021,
yeah, we're
Um,
Zooming.
2020 and 2021.
I'm working 40 hours a week this time of year.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So nighttime is good for you.
It's better.
What
Yeah, I mean,
about
but there might
weekends?
be, I wouldn't, predicate it on my schedule because there might be a Thursday, I tend to actually be working Saturdays most of the summer as well, and I can't really work 6 days a week. And so, I might be able to take a Thursday afternoon off or something
Oh.
for that.
Okay. So,
That's really with
just-
warning, that opens up a lot of options with, with a
Yes.
2 weeks warning. Yeah.
Yeah, it just
Okay.
depends on the schedule for that particular week. So
now
I
I
don't
know one committee meets at 2:30 during the week. So what's the time factor there that would work?
Right now I'm open. Hey, you guys, I've got 2:45 on the 22nd of July with Tammy. Does it ring a bell for you? Because it doesn't ring a bell for me.
Hmm.
That is.
2:45?
Tammy, that's not you, is it?
I don't think so. That
says-
doesn't sound right.
2:45 Tammy Arlington, and I'm really not sure what that is. I think I'm supposed to be somewhere.
It's a different Tammy.
It must be.
Oh dear. I hope you figure it out.
I do
Tammy's
too.
actually a pretty popular name. I know a lot of Tammys.
Well, there
That's
was a
funny.
song. That's why there was a song called Tammy.
Yeah,
Oh, there you go.
that
But I don't-
generation got Tammy.
Tammy, my love. Yeah.
Well, we're being recorded.
Oh gosh. I didn't say
Okay,
that.
so the 15th,
of
and
July.
depending on what the other people say, the ones that aren't attending tonight, can we determine if it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 7 o'clock in the evening?
I'm open. If you want to just do a
Okay.
little poll, if you want to do a little poll for everybody, Esther, maybe
Okay.
that we'd get a
That
little
would be
better
great.
turnout.
That would be great. Okay, so we'll look forward to the 15th, one time or the other. Anything
Sounds good.
else that we need
Yeah,
to
15th
discuss?
looks good for me.
Okay,
All right. So
okay.
I bet you all would like to know who else has a birthday on July 15th. Linda Ronstadt and Rembrandt, and also a man named Pareto out of Italy who discovered the 80-20 rule. They're
Now-
pretty. That's true.
The artist is not with us any longer. What about the guy in Italy?
Oh, he was like from the 1600s. He's like kind of a Renaissance kind of
He's
guy.
not with us either.
Well, that's history, Esther. That's us.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah, and Linda can't sing anymore either. Man, and she was my hero. I loved her voice. She had a great voice.
Well, your voice goes when you get old, I know.
I've noticed that when I sing in church now. Yeah.
Well, I thank you for attending. You've been great with the suggestions and the bantering around what we could do. So next time when we have a quorum, if we have something to vote on, then we'll be in good shape.
There
Sounds
you go.
good.
Yeah, but I will write this up and contact the others so that they'll know what went on and
Mhm.
we missed them.
Yeah.
Greatly.
Yeah, we really did. We
Yes.
really did.
Yes, look, it's almost 8.
I know. But it made the meeting go faster.
We didn't start until 10, 12 after.
There you
That's true.
go. We're very efficient.
Very
Yes.
focused. Very focused. That's never been one thing I've been very good at, is being focused. So Esther, you
Well,
led the way tonight.
Hang with us. You'll get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Well, thank you, ladies. I'm going to say that the meeting is adjourned.
All
All
right.
right.
Thank you so much,
Thanks,
Esther.
Esther.
Bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.
You
We will see you
too.
in
Yeah.
July.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Here we
Yes.
go.
Good.